Chapter 1. Fading Colors. Aria's eyes wandered aimlessly through the desolate streets of Willow Creek. Her dark hair, tied up in a messy bun, framed her pale face as she gazed out at the drab houses and vacant lots. She had always felt like an outsider, never quite fitting in with the other kids at school or finding solace in the worn pages of her favorite books. But it was on these empty streets that Aria found a glimmer of comfort. The peeling paint, the faded murals, each chipped surface told a story she longed to be a part of. And then, like a whispered secret, she spotted him, Cale, with his wild shock of curly brown hair and mismatched socks, sprawled across a crumbling wall, painting the most vibrant, sprawling scene Aria had ever seen. She watched, transfixed, as colors danced across the canvas in time with her own racing heart. The sun was setting over Willow Creek, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out like fingers, beckoning her closer. For a moment, Aria forgot about her loneliness and let herself be swept up in the beauty of Cale's art. But as quickly as she'd been drawn in, she remembered who she was, a kid from the wrong side of town, with no business being here. Chapter 2. Brush strokes of friendship. Over the next few weeks, Aria found herself drawn back to the walls again and again, each visit ending in a chance encounter with Cale. He introduced her to Luna, a quiet girl with long silver hair and skin as white as moonlight, who shared Aria's love for abstract expressionism. Then there was Zephyr, a lanky teenager with dreadlocks and an infectious grin, whose bold strokes brought the walls to life. Together, they laughed and argued over color palettes, their words blending with the rustle of brushes on wet paint. They talked about everything and nothing: school, friends, family, music, and life beyond Willow Creek's borders. As the nights went by, Aria began to feel a sense of belonging she'd never known before. For the first time in her life, she felt like she fit in. But it wasn't just art that bound them. They shared stories, hopes, and fears in the way only those who'd felt like outsiders themselves could understand. Chapter 3. Stripes of Discord. However, not everyone in Willow Creek appreciated their nocturnal creations. Mr. Grant, a stern-faced councilman with sun-scorched skin and hair slicked back, had long campaigned to rid the town of its eyesore murals. He saw the artists as troublemakers, draining the town's resources and tarnishing its reputation. When word spread that Cale was planning to tackle the old abandoned mill on the outskirts, Grant seized his chance. A public debate was called, pitting art against property values, creativity against conformity. As tensions rose, Aria found herself torn between her growing friendship with the artists and the promise of a brighter future, one where her talents were valued over her unconventional style. She began to wonder if she'd made a mistake by getting involved with Cale's crew. Was their art worth risking everything for? But every time she thought about abandoning them, Luna's words echoed in her mind. Art isn't just about what you create, it's about who you become while creating it. Chapter 4. Canvas of Compromise. At the heated town hall meeting, Aria stood up to defend Cale's vision. She poured out her heart, speaking of how art made her feel seen and heard in a world that often seemed deaf to her. Mr. Grant scoffed at her words, but something in his expression faltered. Perhaps it was the fire in Aria's eyes or the way Luna stood by her side, unwavering. In the end, a compromise was reached. The artists would be allowed to paint on approved walls under close supervision, with the understanding that they'd also contribute to local community projects. It was a small victory, but as the sun set over Willow Creek, Aria knew she had found something far more valuable than permission. She had discovered belonging. As she walked home through the streets, now brightened by the vibrant murals, she felt a sense of pride and purpose she'd never known before. The colors of her new friend's art seemed to seep into every corner of her life, reminding her that even in the darkest places, there was always beauty waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 5. Layers of Identity. Over time, Aria's connection to Cale and Luna deepened. She started attending their art classes at a local community center, where Zephyr taught her how to blend colors in the most unexpected ways. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was part of something bigger than herself, an art collective that wasn't just about creating, but about sharing stories and emotions with others. Aria began to realize that the art world wasn't just a place for expression, it was also a space where people from all walks of life came together, shared their experiences, and found common ground. She saw how Cale's paintbrush danced across the canvas like a conductor leading an orchestra. Each stroke was a note in the grand symphony of their collective art. As she watched, Aria began to understand that art wasn't just about what you created, it was also about who you became while creating it. Chapter 6. Colors of Home. Years went by, and the once vacant lots transformed into a kaleidoscope of colors. The walls told stories of resilience, hope, and belonging. Aria grew up alongside her friends, watching as they continued to push boundaries, experimenting with new mediums and techniques. They became fixtures in Willow Creek's art scene. Their name was whispered among collectors and galleries, far beyond the town's borders. And yet, for all their success, Kale, Luna, Zephyr, and Aria never lost sight of what had brought them together, a shared love for art as a language that could heal wounds, break barriers, and create a sense of home. As she looked out at the vibrant streets of Willow Creek, now her own, Aria knew that no matter where life took her next, she would carry the memories of this community with her. And in those moments when the world seemed to fade away, leaving only darkness and uncertainty, she'd find comfort in knowing that she had once painted alongside them on the walls of Willow Creek.